today, where they tried to raise doubt about my private finances. As you know, I think it's around 2011 or 12 accusations were made that I may have then took $500,000 of loan from a bank without collateral and passed that on to my pension fund. And I did ask both the government and the supervisory board to do an independent and thorough investigation to make sure, in order to ascertain whether that was true or not. And as you may recall, I mean, there was various discussion in the board. The government of Curacao told me they will not carry out an investigation, and the board, for many reasons, never came on to do the investigation. The General Accounting Office in Curacao did an investigation. Also, PwC from Curacao did an investigation, and it was reported in those two reports that the information was not true. There were false allegations and tried then to damage my reputation. Another allegation that appeared in the publication of June the 10th and 11th was that I bought an apartment in two apartments in Curacao, and that apartment, at least they didn't say explicitly, but they create the impression as if that those apartments then were the product of corruption, or I may have received money that's not legitimate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in 1998, I did sell a house that I had in Curacao, and with the proceeds of that house in 1998, I bought an apartment, and the balance I financed in a bank in the United States. Back then, I was accused also that the house that I bought was then an institution has given me that as a gift. I requested the supervisory board for an investigation, and they did make an investigation, and it was reported that it was true. It was just false accusations of people that wanted to, again, damage my reputation. And recently in 2009, some 7 years ago, I did buy an apartment in Miami that was pre-financed, and then my pension fund bought the apartment as an investment of the pension fund. And my pension fund is in line with the law, and also after receiving the approval of the supervisory board of the bank, and also all the activities of my pension funds are audited by the external accountant, and the income of the pension fund are calculated by the actuary. So all the activities of the pension fund is transparent, and it's in line with what the supervisory board and the law then allowed me to do. But again, based on those accusations, and again, I asked for investigation. Investigation was made, and then again, the result was that all the transactions are transparent and in line with what the requirements are, and there is nothing illegal or irregular with that. But just to show you that despite the fact that I do ask not myself, but the supervisory board then to carry out an investigation, even though the results of the investigations are that there's nothing wrong with that, nonetheless, a member of the board then, because we told him that based on what he has been doing, that there are possible criminal act, and will report that to the public prosecutor. Then they started then with this campaign of defamation. Another accusation in that report is that I frequently will go to Miami, and that the bank then will pay my private trips to Miami. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's again not true. All my trips that are private are paid by myself. I mean, and that there was a period a couple of years ago where I stayed in Miami for a while for medical reason, and those stay was paid out by my insurance company. So it was no single penny was paid then by the bank, not even then for my medical expenses in Miami. So these are all false allegations, and again, try to um, damage me, or at least to intimidate me then from proceeding with the investigation at the gyro, or then to with the reporting the apparent criminal activities of that member of the board. Another um, accusation that was lodged was that all the activities that took place, as you know, the first Curaçao International Bank of the Dutchman John Deuys was also a subject of the discussion and a lot of publicity a couple of years back in the Dutch press, where even the Dutch prosecutor mentioned that there was a close relationship with this John Deuys and various other accusations, which I would like to go into detail. Back then, I mentioned, and I will repeat it again, that all those accusations are baseless and were designed then to exert pressure on the bank in order to agree with or at least assist the public prosecutor in their investigation. I've included a detailed memorandum for you in the press kit, but I would like to highlight just a couple of those issues just to illustrate to you what I mean to say that undue pressure was exerted on the bank in order to assist then the public prosecutor with this case. They mention that the central bank did not have any interest in that case. That's not true. When this case started, we went to Holland. We did ask the public prosecutor to explain us what was going on. They told us that they did not talk with the central bank, but they talked only to the attorney of FCIB. So as a consequence then, no conversation, we could not get any conversation at least with the public prosecutor and get information that we requested. Another allegation was that the bank paid the legal expenses of John Deuys and his sister. Ladies and gentlemen, when the court placed a financial institution under when they apply the emergency arrangement, the bank then will assume all the responsibility of management and the supervisory board. So as a consequence, all the payment, for instance, that institution has to do will be made by the bank on behalf of that institution. So then the budget, so all the legal expenses that that entity had to pay were paid then by the bank on behalf of that. So it was not the money of the central bank, but the central bank appointed then a person to continue running that institution, and that person then made the payment. So it's not at least, but they gave the impression as if that the person that was in charge of the bank then paid that from the central bank budget. That's not true, and everybody knows that. For instance, in the case of Gyro, also Gyro now is under the emergency arrangement. Expenses have to be made, payment have to be made, and the person then that the central bank appoint to take care as a caretaker then of that institution will continue to make payment for the institution to continue to function. But it's not that those payments are made then from the resources of the bank, and they try then to create that impression.